matchup could be very interesting because when you talk about the English versus the HRE on Mongolian Heights, you usually have to talk about this waterfront. A waterfront that they actually are quite even on because of the galleys. There is, of course, a slight edge that Viper can have courtesy of the outposts, but you have to get them in place. And I'm curious to see if the Muslim is going to play aggressive enough to stop him doing that entirely, because you have to remember that the HRE eco is a lot stronger than yours at the beginning of the game, with a 40% increased gathering rate due to these prelates. Overall, though, straight away, we should see a pull out towards the dock. You can see Viper already trying to be efficient, gathering up the food. The timing looks pretty good as well, and straight in after he gets the initial wood to build that dock. The Muslim will be slightly behind him, but not too much, mind you. However, the build-up will slightly favor Viper. I wouldn't be surprised if afterwards he drops an outpost at the center crossing first. And that's the race you're looking for. And because he already started constructing this, he should have a clear edge. It could be the Viper plays towards the south side and doesn't get greedy. But ultimately, I feel like once you scout this out, you're going to make the move. And it looks like he is moving up there now. For good reason as well. Viper wants to be along the center here to gather as much sheep as possible. And although he will not find sheep here, he will find critical info about how ahead he is. And there it is. So this should inform him Viper. Needs to gather more wood, though. This is the problematic detail in the English HRE matchup. Is because the HRE is buffing their wood line. They can now afford to produce the fishing boats and probably get the outpost up first. Let's see if Viper's got a trick up his sleeve. It looks like he's shifting more onto the wood. So 5 up on wood. It's going to be the palisade at the crossing. Interesting choice here. Demuzum. Oh, no! Okay, he's going to keep the sheep. I don't think... No, you shouldn't be allowed to keep the sheep for that. That was a complete outplay. For a moment, look, I thought for a moment he'd actually pulled the sheep off on purpose to block the wall going up. The Muslim will luckily recover it. Viper will make sure that he gets the cross-section wall, so he doesn't necessarily need to go into the galleys if he doesn't want to. The Muslim will be stripped of the option to do so. This is a play that's advantageous to Viper. Realistically, the Muslim should be ahead in terms of galley production just because his eco should be more efficient on gold and wood due to their prelates. So logically, like from Viper's perspective, his opponent should beat him to the first galley or definitely to the second galley. Realistically, this is just more beneficial to play hard into food and then maybe think about pulling a few longbowmen, harassing your opponent's eco lines, forcing him to invest into feudal, and then rushing up to castle yourself. Because realistically, that's what Demuzum wants to do. Most of the time, these HRE players, they're still about castle. I haven't really seen too many players hard-pressing the feudal at all, really. Like, when they hang around in feudal, it's not to get aggressive. The times they hang around in feudal is simply because they want to get their hands on a secondary town center. So, yeah, kind of a finicky civ in a lot of ways at the moment. I feel like a lot of people haven't really solved this still. We've seen a lot of experimentation around the Burgrave Palace, and I feel like it's quite hit or miss. The issue being is you don't have any sort of flexibility into what you're producing out of the Burgrave Palace, right? You can only build either Spearman, Man-at-Arms, or Landsknecht. And I've talked about this before about how it'd probably be nice if you could actually select what type of unit the Burgrave Palace is going to produce. And you can either make that something you switch every 5 minutes plus, or you can make it that when you build it on selection, you choose what it's going to be. Something along that lines would be beneficial, though, with some sort of graphical difference you can tell. Because right now, the Landsknecht Cathedral often feels better. Most of the time when I see Burgrave Palace look useful, it's because you're on the defensive and forced to build it. Every time I've seen a player try to be proactive with it, it seems like it's next to worthless. Maybe I've just been watching the wrong games, but I'm kind of unconvinced still. I like the research speed on it, though. That's actually a nice clutch recovery, but outside that, it's a bit tough to justify. Especially with Landsknecht Cathedral just being a fantastic tool for giving you a huge amount of gold income, right? And if you actually do the maths in terms of like what you get from those extra 200 gold per minute per relic inside, like you can easily start to afford additional military infrastructure. So in the next 3 to 4 minutes, it feels like it's paid for itself compared to the Burgrave. The Muslim, what are we holding wood for here? It is going to be the Minework Palace. Oh, is he going early? He might be going early in this game. And Viper's going to be caught slightly off guard by it because remember, whenever you go into the docks, you're delaying your feudal timing on both sides. And that means that you maybe miss your window for the longbow spam. Also, considering the build-up speed. Oh, wow. Yeah, this outpost might be too late. This is going to be tight. But I think he just about gets the outpost up. It takes 45 seconds to build the outpost. He just started, and the galley, yep, it's going to be too late. So the Muslim will not be able to get a galley out quick enough to snipe down this villager. Big deal there. Maybe I'm selling the Burgrave short. I don't know. I just feel like the games I've watched, I haven't been impressed. There is definitely like value in it, but I feel like the problem I'm seeing is a lot of players when they go for the Burgrave, whenever they're doing it offensive, it kind of feels like they don't necessarily get super offensive. They maybe move a few man-at-arms out in the midfield, but they don't like, you know, find any intrinsic value. And then when I see them do it defensive, it kind of feels like something that gets used to build your first 5 man-at-arms, and then a lot of people tend to chill. I probably just haven't seen good games of it yet. In fairness, I feel like I haven't seen enough HRE games recently where Burgrave's been built. I have seen a lot of games where Kaz has been experimenting with it specifically, but Kaz has been doing a lot of different cool experimental things. One of the things that I am a big fan of that I've seen HRE players do, notably Kaz for leading the way with this, is the outposts on the relic locations. So he'll pull villagers, build outposts next to the relics, and then instantly move a prelate out to bank them. And that way he has strong vision as well as gold trickling in straight away. And in a lot of ways, it's safer than trying to run a prelate back after running them out. So tech up. Both players now up to feudal. We'll see what this Mind Work Palace is going to do. I understand why Muslim done this, by the way. I don't think he's necessarily trying to get aggressive early on, but I think the main idea behind this Mind Work Palace is that he can't have a good Ark and Chapel. He could get gold and food, maybe, but he can't get gold and wood. So realistically, it feels more beneficial to just build 1 or 2 additional prelates, get the Mind Work Palace now, and then have it for additional income later on. Oh, sorry, income through savings. Because remember that you're getting 30% discount. So when we get to late game, we're talking like, you know, Imperial Age techs. Instead of paying 1,000, you're paying 700, which is a really big saving. And I agree, folks. Like, yes, to just like round out the thoughts of the Burgrave. Situationally, it is good, but I feel more often than not the Landsknecht Cathedral is better. If that makes sense. Which makes sense for situational, right? Like, if you have a clear win condition on a timer, or you are essentially trying to block someone else's like timer-based win condition in that they're rushing you fast, then Burgrave is phenomenal. But if it's like a standardized game where you're getting to play the HRE to an extent, then I think Landsknecht is just better. Realistically, you shouldn't be getting those type of games often, though, is what I'll say. Like, most people got very good at pressuring HRE players, so that's why I think Burgrave is going to see increased value, is realistically a lot of the time your opponent should be pressuring you. The best way I've ever just heard it summarized is if you're playing Eco versus HRE, you're throwing the game. Playing that Eco, it won't be the Muslim. He is going for the Burgrave, so it looks like he's probably going to make a move towards the dock very fast here. And it's interesting, like the Mind Work, like I said, we usually see this coming out, and we don't necessarily see it utilized, but this time around, it looks like Benny Boy's trying to prove how good it can be. He's going to the March and Drill straight away, and I'm a fan of this. This is my concern, like when I've used it in the Burgrave. People have built it up, they pushed out 5 to 10 man-at-arms, and then it's kind of like it doesn't get used for 2 to 3 minutes because your Eco can't stabilize it. Whereas, like, alternatively, when you go for this type of build, you want to be getting the marching drills. That's something that I think a lot of players forget about, seemingly. Or maybe just feels a little bit too pricey in a normal blacksmiths. I think in this situation, it's going to be phenomenal because he needs to move out and torch this straight away. Like, you can see he's already starting to lose momentum over the straits. He's got to deal with the network of castles. He's got the outpost already down. Like, he's going to be pushed off soon. And Viper, look at his numbers. He's about to get the tech up as well. So although the Muslim will be ahead by, say, 20 to 30 seconds, it's not going to be that big of a lead. Viper is going to be nipping at his heels. Doc is going to be fully garrisoned. The Muslim should be able to afford the first Hulk if he so chooses. But I think this should just be a man-at-arms push, because if you push the Hulk out, it's just going to get blitzed by an outpost. If you push man-at-arms out, say 6 to 8 of them, they'll just torch down these outposts ASAP. Unless Viper does get the Fortify outpost upgrades, which so far he hasn't touched. Straight into the monastery. 3 relics on Viper's side, which haven't been touched. And of course, the Muslim already running 2 back is going to start rubbing his fingers together and feeling good about the game. And this is important, by the way, get those initial relics because you're going to need them for the man-at-arms push. Remember that you're pushing one out every 4 seconds. That is a hefty demand upon your gold at this stage of the game. It's also why he needs to sort his food. Like, getting crippled on the fishing line is going to slow him down in this push. If he actually had a safe fishing line, he would non-stop be just churning out Burgrave Palace man-at-arms. But as it stands, it's going to be small flurries coming out. And look at this, the transport ship play. I like this. I like what the Muslim's identified. He knows he's on a timer right now. He needs to move out and get rid of these outposts ASAP. But he can't, so he goes deeper. I think maybe you could actually get rid of this outpost on the south side and then torch down the dock. But instead, he's going to ride straight into the base. Archery range is now being built up, but Viper a little bit delayed. This actually might be the right move out of the Muslim. And I don't know if he had vision when he made this play. No, this is completely blind. So he plays into the base. He spots out the archery ranges. Crossbowmen are now being produced. And looks like he will be ran away from here. You have to start to question, would it have actually just been better to go after the dock line? Looks like he's now trying to torch through the palisades over here. But I mean, this is one of the situations where transport ship could have easily got you across with 5. Could have torched down the outpost. You could also deny a villager building, repairing up here. I say that, the villager gets denied anyway. A little bit of a whoopsie daisy. It looks like eventually the Muslim is going to get through. Viper does need to start building up a critical mass of crossbows. Has got the double archery range. Small Vanguard of man-at-arms more or less finished off here. Final one to fall. Villager count is going to start creeping in favor of Viper. It is a 2 TC versus 1 situation for now. We'll see if the Muslim comes out with a switch up soon. But in the meantime, just trying to burn through the walls. And it is on fire. Uh-oh. That palisade is going down. And that might be 2 dead villagers as well. He tries to rebuild it. Not going to be fast enough, though. Does get denied. What? Where are you? All right. Viper has evaporating villagers here. These are what we call, because corpses are very distasteful, right? This is now a PG stream, so we can't show dead body. No, don't show it. Don't. I don't understand what happened to that villager, but we'll just... I guess they're allergic to water. That would be my assumption. Let's just focus on what's happening now, because it looks like Prelate is moving out to yoink more of the relics. Relics that Viper feels a bit delayed in getting towards. I think this is actually interesting to talk about, is that Monastery usually gets dropped by Viper a lot quicker. He's one of the quickest players to go into relic gathering when he hits castle, but he got delayed because he went for the double archery range. Once he saw the pressure coming in from the man-at-arms pool, he had to actually knee-jerk react with double archery range into crossbows. That's quite pricey. This is 300 wood on the infrastructure alone, and that's why this monastery was so late, followed up by the gold stagger because of the demand in terms of like paying for crossbows. I think this all led to an extra minute required to get towards monasteries. And because of that, the Muslim is then able to exploit value by moving prelates out and yoinking at least one of the relics from his opponent's side, meaning he's going to have double the amount of passive gold coming his way. It's pretty cool. Even more. Oh, wow, this stings. This actually stings. And he went for the different relic anyway, so at least get one, but there's no way he's going to stop this. Maybe the wildlife can help him out, but I feel like it's going to be so displaced. It's going to be frustrating for you to try and maybe deny these 2 relics from making their way back to base. Whilst that's happening, the Muslim is looking to pull a bunch more man-at-arms to the north side, so just to start raiding in there. We'll be too late to deny this relic, but even if he just gets one of these 2 back, it's a big boon to him. It's a big differential in his favor. Viper does need to be a little bit careful. Like, if he goes AFK for a second here, Wololo could lose him the crossbows. Especially if he doesn't insta-react. And the Muslim. Wololo. No. Oh, if he done it straight away. I think that might have been a conversion. Then again, Viper probably pulls back. But if you play that right on the vision, he actually probably could have got him. He's got a second attempt at this, though, but this one's... Oh, the wolf. The wolf has done all the work. Oh, the wildlife. So it looks like Viper is going to deny this play from the Muslim. It looks like he will get his 3 relics, although it will be slightly delayed. Nice play by Viper. He suspected someone was up, but now the Muslim makes the move into his base. Everything forced the garrison here. Man-at-arms, although they've got that increased movement speed, still pretty damn slow to close here, especially with the attack speed buffer. It's a little bit problematic for the Muslim. Another throwaway troop of man-at-arms. And a second or third TC in this situation. King's Pass, TC, and then secondary TC. So Viper looking to super eco boom up. Meanwhile, the Muslim hasn't actually gone for a second TC yet. Looks like instead he's going for the forward keep drop. Up almost 700 stone now. There should be one dropped at the center crossing, giving him a quick route straight into Viper's base, probably identifying how greedy his opponent is being. And Monks with their slow shuffle out will eventually yoink these up. So he's only gone for 1 Monk, so didn't want to invest in an additional one to get them that much quicker. The Muslim. What is the next play? Transition-wise, it looks like he's going straight for Imperial. Remember, you do get it discounted as the HRE, which is just absurd. I still don't know why it's discounted for HRE of all civs. And it's going to be Pass the Swab as expected, so that'll allow him to gap close upon that eco lead Viper's built up. Wondering what he switches into now. He's up against the English, so Spears feels a little bit eh. Landsknecht could be pretty solid. Good gap closer. I could even see a world in which he goes for some Knights in the late game as a nice transition, but that would leave him very vulnerable to crossbows, which his opponent's already building. So I think most realistically is Landsknecht in the mixer. Oh, but this keep the timing, Viper! He moves in just in time. Villagers are going to be unable to complete the structure. And now, with the crossbows in position, even if you pull more villagers, you're going to lose a lot of them to do so. And Muslim hasn't even noticed yet. No. No way. There's no way. I think the pings coming from the attacks on the fishing boats has distracted him. I don't think he realizes what's been happening here. He'll finally realize it now. But it's cost him a lot of villagers. Wow, that stings. That stings hard. That small, insignificant chip damage on the fishing boat is going to cost him a lot here. The Muslim, he gets the tech up, but now he doesn't have the defensive foothold. This defensive foothold was really important, by the way. If he got this up, then there wouldn't be any pressure coming in. But now that Viper's seen his opponent's gone up to Imperial, he maybe has an opportunity to move in and punish him for this. Let's see if he's able to do so. Patron on the midfield still in the meantime. The keep is going to be cancelled and pulled down. Docks are not looking to build into Carracks at all. No Hulks either. Just feeling the pressure. And looks like the final fishing boat, up here at least, is going to be sinking. The crossbows will move in. Meanwhile, south side. Looks like there's a transport ship, but that's it. And that's been spotted as well, so no sneaky plays with the Muslim. A shame as well. Would have been wonderful to see a transport ship snaking something in. What is with these villages? It's like they get shot to death in water. Like, oh, water, we're not allowed to swim. Quick, erase us before people get suspicious. Oh, I love that interaction. Crossbows just kind of wasting their time on this transport ship right now. But the important detail is info feed. They know what's happened back here. He can choose to go into an aggressive ship to get rid of the dock if he chooses, or he just keeps guard here in case he sees ship investments out of the Muslim. But now Viper's starting to sneak in. If he goes deeper, he'll find a lot of pocket ecos. And the concerning detail about that is the Muslim hasn't switched over yet. There's no switch. He hasn't gone into farms yet. So if he gets caught off on these food supplies, he is in deep doo-doo. There's the Landsknecht we were expecting to come out. Haven't been upgraded to elite yet. Man-at-Arms trying to chase in. Crossbows need to target out the Landsknecht. And he realizes that he sidesteps once more, but instead he's focusing on the Man-at-Arms. He splits up at least one or two behind. A nice play there coming out from Viper. With the Landsknecht now starting to go down, he should still be able to take good trades here. Taking out another Man-at-Arms. Second one. Bye-bye Landsknecht. Bye-bye to Muslim. Good micro. I expect as much from the Snake. This is a top 10 player. Like, he's not going to get caught off guard by one or two Landsknecht in the mixer. This is the frustration as well. Like, ideally, you'd be going Spears and Landsknecht, just because once you elite them up, they both wear similar costumes, so it's very hard to identify at the quick glance. And also, it would force a transition out of Viper, but at the same time, he's an English player, so he wants to go to Lombo. If you give him the justification to build only Lombos, he's going to rip your arm off. 7 tile range, as well as just how juiced up they get in late game, the attack speed, it won't be a pretty picture. Nice bank. I like this play out of the Muslim. Remember, when you do bank relics inside defensive structures, you still get the 100 gold per minute, but as you can see, you buff up the defense. 50% more armor, 35% more damage, 25% sight range increase, and 20% more weapon range. And if you want to know what that sight range is like, there you go. Pretty godly. You can see everything moving around that area. Crossbows in the meantime are going to be a frustration. Probably just trying to keep everyone alive, but that small group of crossbows could wipe out the villagers. Just wants to actually keep the options available to him. Doesn't want to just rush in and lose them straight away as he's expecting some sort of response. Viper may be a little bit too chill. He did get his Imperial, but I feel like if you kept a Vanguard at the crossing, this keep wouldn't go up and you'd have a short route in. Then again, he is playing as the English. We're playing towards the stage in the game with the Wingard Palace where you can start pushing out Trebs. Trebs that will easily siege down a keep unless you network it in for the emergency repairs, which is something that so far the Muslim has not done. Dude, look at this crossbow sneak. They see you, you see them. Just, oh no. Oh, crossbows are going to be saying bye-bye, going the way of the dodo here. Try and take 1 or 2 the man-at-arms with him, but there's no way in hell you can run away. Crossbow's just too slow with 1.12 compared to that 1.24 movement speed. Not to mention when they're charging as well, making them just ridiculous. So, Annoyance is removed from the Muslim side of the map. Could do with some siege now. Just because you have to anticipate Viper's built up defenses, right? There's no way he's playing without a keep at the front of his base. He's an English player after all. And also this keep could be used to build trebs, but it seems like Viper is very much content to be in chill mode. I can kind of see where he's coming from as well. Like the HRE, you know, they power spike up to the Imperial Age, but then if you can even them up, I feel like you have better answers of the English, right? Lombos are phenomenal late game. Spearmen come cost effective with the attack speed buff. Trebuchets as well to easily blitz through defenses. And then of course things like the enclosures, which allow you to just generate gold infinitely, means that you should be able to scale quite well for Imperial compared to the HRE. Especially with how much weaker melee feels in the current meta. But I love this play out of the Muslim. We don't see it often, but a Carrack being whipped out on the waterfront will look to take out a bunch of these ships. Of course, those sprint upgrades not really doing the damage you would like. The Carrack is just a little bit too beefy. So Fishing Fleet is going to be wiped out as Viper is no longer gathering food on the water. But that was an advantage for him. Doesn't put him at a disadvantage, seeing as the Muslim hasn't been fishing for much longer. Look at the infrastructure upgrade. So Viper definitely looking to go on the offensive now. Needs to reach pop cap quickly. 106 villages compared to 72. He's still miles ahead of the Muslim, and now the Trebuchet starting to wheel out. Defenses helping reduce that damage to the Trebuchet a little bit, but it's still so overwhelming at 550 damage per shot. And the Muslim, I don't know if you want to take this fight. 1 or 2 knights to hold him back. Man-at-arms follow-up as well will delay this push in. Might be long enough that you can do a lot of damage. Landsknecht need be targeted out right now by Viper. Well, actually target them 1 by 1 discriminately, but it's like over time they're going to be whittled down. Landsknecht not really able to do the business here. Trebuchet is a little bit exposed to the fire from the man-at-arms. Maybe one of them goes down, but the pull of villages is forced out from Viper. The Muslim has to keep this keep alive. The Vanguard not really able to find that much value, really. This was not a good trade for the Muslim. Plenty of dead MAA. Barely anything dead for Viper. There we go. TC is plopped down in the end, so the Muslim gets the daisy chain in. Now has the emergency repairs. Remember, the AoE for town center, as you can see there, is quite large. So you don't have to have it too close. And that means you're in a situation with the Relic inside as well, where this keep, as you can see with the cannon having 12 tower range, that should protect the town center. There's no way Viper with this sort of direction of attack can take out the town center with trebuchets without exposing the trebs to the keep. Another Carrack wheeling up. Pretty terrible tower range though, right? 8 tower range, can't really do much. I feel like Viper just builds 2 Springalds and takes you out now. He'll have to do something along those lines. You can't really rely on the Lombos to deal with this. Well, I say that, actually, it... Oh no! The Muslim! He gets sniped out so casually there. Oh my god, I can't believe he hit both shots. Remember, as you can see there, folks, Trebs don't just get the bonus damage up against the buildings, they also get against the ship. So he hit it twice for 550 damage. Oh. Trebuchets, eat your heart out. Good lordy lord. That's a heavy loss as well. Those Carracks aren't cheap. As you can see there, 390 wood, 270 gold. Speaking of savings, Viper, where is your wind guard palace? Do you not want to win the game on guard? Hello, sir, please. I was hoping like it was just the UI, but no, he's not building out the wind guard palace. Little bit of a whoopsie daisy. Of course, it does take a long time, 1 minute 15, but it's so much cheaper. You have to remember the cost of a trebuchet is more than this, right? You pay 100 food, 100 wood, 200 gold, and you definitely get your value out of that. Meanwhile, flank attack coming out from the Muslim is going to be insufficient here. And he has noticed an important detail off the back of this, though, and it is that hand cannoneers are now being pushed by Viper. His hand cannoneers will become problematic unless he can keep the pressure up. He will be shredded by them. Pepper and Arrows, attack speed buffer is finally there. He comes in range. Meanwhile, Man-at-Arms Battalion moving to the west side. Looks like he sees another keep going up. Walls are going to be a big fat fail from Viper. At least gets the foundations down. And now the trebuchets can go to town on this one as well. And this one is not networked in. So no emergency repairs coming out. No easy way of keeping it alive. The Muslim right now seemingly giving over a lot and getting little in return. Like these raid-ins with the man-at-arms, the trades, more or less even. And now the keep slowly crumbling one by one. And you can see how he's starting to forfeit more ground. I mean, he has to make a move soon. Or transition. I think if you keep throwing away these same troops, it's just going to give over more ground to Viper. Especially with this transition to hand cannoneers now. We know that Viper loves to do this. He is a snake for this in the late game. He slowly plays into hand cannoneers. Builds them up as about 10% of the composition every production. And then over time, they're usually the last unit standing because he has a front line, he has cannon fodder to tank the fire. And 4 or 5 fights in, if Viper keeps winning, you're looking at 50% of his composition being hand cannoneers after taking efficient trades economically. Wrap around the Muslim. Not looking to directly fight, but he's not going to have much of a choice at this rate. He's able to wiggle his way around, but I've got bad news for you, son. Stone walls, no way in, and you are running straight up against a... What? What? How? I mean, I can kind of see how you wouldn't see it. It's the... Oh my... Why on live? It's the deer. Look on the minimap. The deer covers the pass. So at a quick glance, that's what Viper's doing, right? He's got too much to focus on here, so he's just looking at his minimap. He's like, okay, no, there's clearly a wall here, but it's actually hidden by the deer, and he'll finally realize it now, but that did allow the man-at-arms to sneak in with the Landsknecht as well, so some raiding damage going to be done here. Someone the eco has to go idle. What a frustrating icon placement there. The deer, out of all the places they could have chosen to stand to be spawned, it had to be here. Viper will at least look to fix that now, but does mean he has to deal with some harassment in his eco. The Muslim able to buy himself some more time. Treasured time for him right now. He needs all that he can get, as he's very much playing catch up, and good God, you can see it. 35 military compared to 73. Eco count now more or less neck and neck. And he's still man-at-arms and Landsknecht. I just think the hand cannoneers are a problem here. I love the line formation out of Viper as well. Not going to make it easy for his opponent. He's going to ensure the Lombos and the hand cannoneers get maximum range efficiency as well, considering they are only up against melee. Problematic here for the Muslim. And it means these Landsknecht are kind of discount. They didn't really do as much damage as they otherwise would. So kind of a worrisome situation for Benny Boy. I'm not really sure how he easily digs himself out of this. It would have to be quite the out micro. Let's just put it like that. Keeps all starting to crumble. Another one goes down. And Viper just on guard in the front. He has a short route into the base if he chooses. And now the switch up. It looks like a few Spearmen coming out, courtesy of the Wingard Palace. How many Trebs are we up to now? He willed them to the north, right? Yeah, so they come back now. So this pack up, it's up to 5 now. This is the frustration about the English, by the way. When you let them get to this stage in the game, it's a very slow but gradual escalation. If you don't directly address this Treb count, eventually it's just instant-delete in your base. And you end up in a situation where if you have clustered landmarks, like the Muslim does, you can instantly be removed from the game. So he needs to go soon. And he's on the march again, once more into the breach. Man-at-arms going to chase him away, though. Remember, both sides do benefit from man-at-arms. Of course, the HRE get a lot of benefits around the movement speed buff as well as the damage buffs. On the other side, though, the English, they get the armor clad. So they get +2 missile and melee resistance, which makes these lads hella chunky. Just a few extra swings required from those Landsknecht could be the difference between them breaching towards the Lombos or them still being stuck on the man-at-arms. More important than the Lombo really are these hand cannoneers now. We're up to 20. 12 Lombos as well. This is what I was talking about with Viper. He gradually builds to this. So many players get too greedy. They're like, I love cannons. 100 million cannons, and that's it. Now, Viper does admittedly do this with the Streltsy, but they're cheaper. they are notably cheaper, actually. 60 resource cheaper per unit. Whenever you see Viper playing as hand cannoneer type civs, the ones where it's 120 food, 120 gold, he usually crawls towards this. He doesn't rush into it. Make sure that he has surplus reserves. Maybe the gold is lagging a little bit, but Viper, this should improve. I'm expecting him to push more farms, already up to 58. Over time, he's going to shift over to primarily just farms, which will generate a hell of a lot of gold alongside it. March out coming in. Switch up out instantly from Demuslim into the Horseman. Trebuchets wheeling it away. Frontline holding for the moment. Landsknecht just trying to cleave through it quickly, but one by one, the man-at-arms, the remainders are holding them back for a long time here, giving value over the hand cannoneers. Horseman raiding around, not tugging out the hand cannoneers just yet, but the rush through the flurry of forces Demuslim moves in with the cleave damage. The spread is not looking good for Viper. Trying to hold on, but too many Landsknecht coming. The Horseman renewal as well. Demuslim keeps the push going, forfeiting the value that Viper had into his backline of cannons here. And with no hand cannoneers remaining, it's just back to Lombos. Lombos that could be pretty damn useful in this late game situation, but a heavy loss nonetheless. A loss that Viper cannot easily afford. The Trebuchets, some of them being burnt down, plenty still alive, and it looks like Viper is frustrated. He instantly goes on the offensive, deploying the Trebuchets to attack the key. Horseman will ignore this and move past. Looks like he's going straight for the eco. That's going to be frustrating as Viper doesn't have a clear solution right now, trying to rebuild the man-at-arms line, but just as quickly as he builds the man-at-arms, look what's happening. Landsknecht are on the march again. Lombo line, even villagers involved. Everyone wants a piece of this party. Keep goes down. Trebuchet count is getting scary, up to 6 with a network of citadels. Don't ask me why it's still called network of castles when it says that it is clearly citadels with a 50% increase. We'll ignore that. Nice graphical errors. Once again, a keep goes down, and this time, Demuslim, are you going to build it again? He has got enough for free keeps, but realistically, you want to be gaining ground, not just being forced back slightly every time. Horsemen will eventually be cleaned up at the back of the base. They're at least able to burn down 1-2 farms, kill a few villages, but overall, not really that much damage done. Viper's like, thank you very much for freeing up some PopCap. Now I can push more military. Hard into the Lombos this time. Decides the hand cannoneers aren't worth it, and I can kind of see where he's coming from. I felt like they got shredded too fast. He needs a strong front line of man-at-arms. And Lombos, with this attack speed from the arrow volley, could actually be a big difference maker here. Trebs continue to siege in. Looking to get rid of any infrastructure they can get their hands on. The Muslim. Well, he's going for one fat push here. Wood and gold is draining fast for him. That's a concern. I mean, Viper, he's still floating pretty well in those departments. So if he loses this army without gaining ground, I feel like Viper's just vastly ahead. And what does he do with being vastly ahead? Probably goes back into hand cannoneers again, realizing his value. And here we go. March forward in a choke point. Not necessarily beneficial for Demuslim because sending the Horseman first, which means there's no room for the Landsknecht to attack right now. He needs to wrap around, tries to get in, they're pinching him, getting around on the side, stabbing from behind as well. Lombo's being ignored as the front line's being cleaved through. The Landsknecht get access. Demuslim trying to push forward, but it looks like it's holding Viper. He renews the line, he spreads out, he keeps the Landsknecht at bay, and with no chunky units to tank up the damage, these pricey Landsknecht are dead, and Demuslim calls the game. Viper able to take it here, the choke point working to his advantage. Oof. And that was actually a really good play coming out from Viper. He quickly shifted to try and spread out the line. He realized the man-at-arms are chunky. They're going to hold for a while, and that's all he needs. He needs to hold there because the Horsemen are trying to breach, not simply because they won't get their hands on the Lombos, it's to access the man-at-arms with the Landsknecht. If that happens, you go down, but you see the weakness is what's happening here, right? When you have this displacement issue where your Horsemen are that much quicker than your infantry, you can accidentally peel off a bit too fast. And I think that's what happened here. Demuslim didn't really have anything to block shots coming in from the Lombos onto the Landsknecht to, tank and absorb the damage coming out from the man-at-arms and the English. And it meant these Landsknecht, although they are premium DPS units, they're incredibly squishy glass cannons at about 110 health at that stage in the game. It's not hard for Lombos and man-at-arms, especially with attack speed buffer, to get through you. And I think that's maybe something that Benny could have changed up. I imagine if Demuslim had a Bombard or a Trebuchet and he's taking out these outposts, if he's playing in neutral ground without the attack speed there, I could see him still taking this as a good fight. But you have to respect the attack speed. I feel like this happens so often late game. When people are up against the English, they're unable to deny the outpost aura. And by effect, they end up losing the game more often than winning it simply because they just can't take an effective DPS fight. So, yeah, really well played by Viper. Good utilization of those auras and good utilization of the choke points to make sure that Landsknecht didn't see their full potential.